Hi, I'm Kathy Camphor from Multnomah County Library, and today we're going to talk about some really great books that I think you're going to love to read. What is the mirrors and windows concept anyway? Rudine Sims Bishop is a Black professor who taught children's literature at the College of Education and Human Ecology from 1986 to 2002. And she came up with this concept in her 1990 article, Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors. So we like to remember her for it and credit her for it. And she talked about the importance of providing students access to what she called mirror texts. When children cannot find themselves reflected in the books they read, or when the images they see are distorted, negative, or laughable, they learn a powerful lesson about how they are devalued in the society of which they are a part. In addition to serving as a mirror for me, the text served as a window for many of my classmates who had only experienced reflections of themselves in books, never experiencing the power of a window text. Books are sometimes the only place where readers may meet people who are not like themselves, who offer alternative worldviews. So she came up with the idea that books can be mirrors where we see ourselves reflected and our cultures and our families, but they can also be windows to the outside world where we see all kinds of other people, other lifestyles, other time periods, and things that open our world. When You Trap a Tiger by Ty Keller. When Lily suddenly sees a tiger in the road, she knows it can't be real. She, her mom, and her teen sister Sam have moved back in with Haimoni, their Korean grandma, who's been in bad health. But Lily also remembers the stories and folklore her grandmother told her about tigers and magic. Could this be one of those tigers? Turns out Haimoni stole some stories from the tiger years ago, and now the tiger has returned to get them back. The tiger tells Lily if she can find where the stolen stories are hidden and let them go, it might save Haimoni. Lily's scared because her grandma seems seriously ill, but her mom's in denial about Haimoni's health. Lily's prickly sister Sam is no help either. She thinks Lily's stories of tigers and magic are childish and absurd. Lily enlists the help of her new friend Ricky to trap the tiger and to find the bottles where Haimoni hid the stories. But should Lily trust a tiger? And even if she's brave enough to let the stories go, is she brave enough to listen to stories her grandmother thought no one should ever hear?
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm a bilingual Spanish school corps librarian, and today I want to talk to you about a couple stories. We'll start with Clean Getaway by Nick Stone with illustrations by Dawood Anyabuile. It's spring break. We are in Alabama riding with 11-year-old William Scoob Lamar. He is in an RV and on the road with his favorite person, his grandma, or as he likes to call her, G-Ma. Scoob is a little worried because he is supposed to be grounded and is on this road trip without talking to his dad first. Scoob's dad canceled spring break after Scoob was in a fight with a bully who was hurting another kid. Dad told Scoob that he has to be more careful as a black boy. People will treat him differently because of his skin color. G-Ma, who is white, thinks Dad is a little too hard on Scoob, who are both black and biracial. But G-Ma knows that black men like Scoob's grandpa have a history of being mistreated. Scoob didn't have a chance to meet his grandpa. That's why G-Ma wants to take Scoob on the road trip she and Grandpa never got to finish. Scoob and G-Ma follow the Green Book, the same guide black folks and interracial couples used when there were more Jim Crow laws. Scoob is excited to spend time with G-Ma, but he starts to worry about things G-Ma does on the road. Is it his imagination, or did G-Ma change the license plates on the RV in the middle of the night? G-Ma keeps calling Scoob by the wrong name too, and why won't G-Ma let Scoob call his dad? If you want to learn about a boy trying to understand himself and his family, how it feels when somebody close to you makes mistakes that hurts others, and a little history of how African Americans have been treated in the United States, read this book. The next book I want to talk to you today about is Efren Divided by Ernesto Cisneros. Efren is in middle school and he has a brother and sister who are twins. His family doesn't have a lot of money, but he lives in a loving and supportive home. His family is from Mexico, but his parents have limited options because they are undocumented immigrants. It's difficult for them to find opportunities for work that don't pay such low wages. One day, Ama goes to apply for a new job and she never comes back. When they find out that she has been deported to Mexico, Efren has to pick up the responsibilities of taking care of his siblings. He helps them get ready, walks them to and from school, and makes sure that they are fed and put to bed, all while trying to continue going to school and acting like nothing has changed. In order to get by without Ama's paycheck, his father has to pick up extra work. He's hardly home and barely gets any sleep. If his dad can keep working, then Efren can find the energy to keep up with his part of the responsibilities. They try to figure out how they can help Ama return, but it's very difficult because of her undocumented status. It doesn't matter that Efren and his siblings are citizens and they need her. The law says that she can't stay in the U.S. Before Ama was taken away, Efren was a good student, but now the situation at home is starting to impact his grades and even his attitudes. Will he be able to keep his family secret? Will he ever see Ama again? Check out this story if you want to read about a strong but separated family and a boy who has to grow up faster than he was ready for.
Hi everyone, this is Jackie. I'm another one of the librarians from School Corps, and I'm here to tell you about a couple more great books. Letter Buck, George Fletcher, the People's Champion, by Vonda Michaud Nelson and illustrated by Gordon C. James. When George Fletcher was 10 years old, his family took the Oregon Trail from Kansas and settled in Pendleton, Oregon. There were not many African Americans in Eastern Oregon, and George faced a lot of racism. But he became friends with children from the Umatilla Indian Reservation, and it was from the horsemen there that he learned to tame horses. George loved riding, and it was clear that he could ride just about anything: horses, bulls, even buffalo. And despite all the discrimination he faced, he still loved riding in rodeos. In 1911, he went to compete at the Pendleton Roundup, the biggest rodeo in the Northwest. He put on an amazing show while the crowd went wild and yelled until they were hoarse. "Let her buck! Let her buck!" After his ride, it was obvious to everyone that George had put on the best show. But when they announced the winner, George had lost to a white man. The arena was silent. Then the crowd booed. Wanting to do something about it, the local sheriff found a way to raise prize money for George, even more than the original prize. Never mind what the judges had said. The people decided that George had won, and he was dubbed the People's Champion. And this next book is Get a Grip, Vivi Cohen by Sarah Caput. Vivi is tired of just playing catch with her brother. She knows she can pitch a great knuckleball, and she wants to play on a real baseball team. But her mom is overprotective because Vivi has autism, and she also worries about Vivi being the only girl on the team. When Vivi's social skills teacher makes her write a letter to someone, she chooses her favorite major league pitcher, VJ Capello, and shares all of her problems with him. Then, two amazing things happen. The first one, VJ Capello writes back to her. And the second one, a baseball coach sees Vivi pitching to her brother and wants her to join his team. Vivi knows she can be a great pitcher, especially with VJ Capello to give her advice. But can she convince her mother to let her play?
Hi, my name is Tanya, and I'm going to share a couple of books with you that I think you might like. The first one is I Can Make This Promise by Christine Day. Edie has never known much about her own ancestry, except that she's half Native American and that her mother was adopted. But when she and her friends find a box hidden in her attic with photos of a woman that looks just like her and signs her letters with Edith, Edie becomes obsessed with finding out who this woman is. Why does she share this woman's name? Why have her parents never talked about this with her? And if they've kept this a secret from her all this time, can she trust them to tell her the truth now? Edie's search for her true identity ends up connecting her to her Native American history in Seattle, as well as her family and her best friend. The next book I am going to share is Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. When Jude's mom becomes pregnant, the family decides that Jude must go with her mother to the U.S., leaving behind her homeland of Syria, as well as her brother and father to escape the war and violence. Adapting to her new life with her uncle's family in Cincinnati is difficult. Everything is too fast and too loud, plus her same-age cousin, Sarah, abandons her at school, refusing to include her in activities or introduce her to her friends. And Jude is constantly worried about her father and activist brother, who are still in Syria. Luckily, Jude's love of theater, her courage, and what her drama teacher calls her punch all work to help her realize that having a new home in the U.S. does not erase the one that she had in Syria. And getting involved in the school musical both helps her to make new friends and to realize a dream of performing she never found possible in her first home. This is a novel told in verse, which makes it a quick read.
Hello friends, my name is Violeta and I'm here to tell you about a couple of other books as well. First up is The Pants Project by Kat Clark. 11-year-old Liv is in a bit of a situation. His new middle school has a very strict dress code. Every student is expected to wear a white shirt, tie, and black V-neck sweater. The difference is that boys are supposed to wear pants and girls are supposed to wear pleated skirts. Because he is transgender, Liv, or Olivia as he's known to most, is supposed to wear the skirt, and that is just not going to fly for him. He challenges the school's dress code and makes friends along the way, even when his antics make those around him uncomfortable. Told with humor and zeal, this feel-good story celebrates differences in race, gender, and abilities, and also showcases youth activism and exploring your identity. Next up is Lowriders to the Center of the Earth by Multnomah County Library's own Kathy Kemper. Lupe Impala, Elidio Malaria, and El Chavo Flapjack Octopus love working at their garage, where they excel at fixing up lowriders. Lupe is an impala and a mechanic extraordinaire. Elidio is a mosquito that paints cars with his beak. And Flapjack washes and buffs cars so they shine in the sun. But when a series of earthquakes rocks their town and then their cat Jeannie goes missing, it's time for a road trip to find their purring pal. Turns out their trip is no vacation. It's a quest that leads them into a cave on the side of a volcano. They meet Chupacabra and La Llorona along the way and end up deep underground in the realm of Mictlantecuhtli, Aztec god of the underworld. He's holding Jeannie prisoner, and he's not a friendly guy. What will the three heroes have to do to get their kitty cat back? Be sure to look at all the detailed artwork in this comic book. It was drawn with something that you probably have at home right now. Can you guess what it is? I'll just tell you. It was drawn with inexpensive ballpoint pens of different colors. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to look at the description below for links to the book list for these books. Take care. Bye. Adios.